Welcome back, guys. Here, this is the MLG stream covering the Acer Team Story Cup. I'm joined by Pui, and we're tied up 2-2 now between Liquid and Millenium. Game number 5 between Tasia and Ghost User, and we were thinking maybe they might play Hero, but of course they switched it up on us and played Tasia.
Yep.
What do you think about Tasia's? They picked to use Tasia instead.
I think they're just like, okay, they're feeling a bit maybe nervous or something. They're like, okay, just send Tasia, just get the wins. Could you ask the production guy to move the cursor off my face? Everyone in the chat is
Yeah,
keeps saying like, move it. So that'll keep them entertained at least.
There we go. Sorry about
I
that.
think they're maybe feeling a bit nervous and they're just like, yeah, there's no risk. Let's just send out Tasia and definitely get the win. Like, it's a high priority that Tasia would take the win here, in my opinion. So
Yeah, and if he wins, then of course Millennium would probably have to. They'd play. Actually, that's true. They'd be stuck against Baby Knights. They're because they can't revive a player until it's that fifth or until the last match, right?
yes.
So they'd have to play Baby Knight on Star Station, which typically isn't the best map for Protoss. So I think they really need Ghost User to win here. Now, Akalon Waste is a pretty interesting map. Of course, Tasia can take his 3 bases very easily, not to worry about too many Zerg timing attacks. But Ghost User gets pretty good in the late game. Okay, here we are in the game now. Akalon Waste at the bottom right-hand location, representing Team Liquid. We have the blue Terran, Tasia.
And his opponent winning the last game, looking to take a win here and go to the next map. It is, of course, the red Zerg player, Gosh User, playing for Millenium.
So, Tasia would be, on paper, the big favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think even TLO would have been the favorite against Ghost User as well, not by as much as Tasia. But Ghost User took him out, pretty simply. Just, a great standard Zerg play defending that mass speeding attack and countering. And Ghost User, I guess one big question is he's been casting a lot lately, of course, with the WCS America.
Yes.
So the question is it's only been for a short time that he started doing that, so it's not like he's lost a lot of practice that's really going to matter a whole lot for this particular match. But it still could affect him, the fact that he's kind of got to jump between mindsets and switch between being a player and a caster.
Definitely. Well, it also helps your game, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, like, when you're casting, you have to an extent explain stuff and dumbing it down, which really gives you an understanding, because like if you talk to teachers, for example, they always say like you don't know anything until you have to teach it, and in a sense that's what you kind of do when you cast. So it really does help your mental mindset as well. But also Gosh User's been playing pretty fantastic recently in the last 3 months, in my opinion. Like he got top 4 DreamHack for an American, which is the best that any American's done since Huck at 2011.
Yep.
And he's just been doing really good. I have seen him beat Tasia. He beat him in I think it was the Gigabyte Pro League Cup. I was casting with Todd. So I know he can beat Tasia. Of course, like you said, on paper, Tasia is still, of course, the much better player.
I think actually that even though this map is, it's a comfortable macro map, you could say, for pretty much every matchup. The third base is very easy, and the fourth isn't too hard as well. I actually think that might help Ghost User against Tasia, even though traditionally the more kind of safe and macro-oriented the map is, it favors the player who's a little stronger on paper. But Ghost User is a guy who I think his hardest time against Tasia is going to be in that mid game when Tasia was trying to drop and do a lot of like pushes from one place and drop in another. But Akalon Waste is a map where that's a little bit easier to deal with, and in a super late game, Ghost User has some really good late game and faster ultraless play that a lot of Terrans have trouble with lately.
Yep, the Reaper is up here in the main base. Gets a Zergling, of course. Once again, like the 40G for Gosh User, senior game. If he can get any kills, that's always a bonus. But for the meantime, it's just gonna force Gosh User to multitask, make sure he gets his inject, stuff like that. And little things you can miss when, of course, you've got to deal with the Reaper. And of course, sometimes you force build-ins and stuff, which is always an extra little win. Second Reaper joins his mate up here. That one is still at full health, so they can immediately join the fight. And he's trying to target down the Queen. I like this. Of course, if you pick off or do a lot of damage to the Queen, run away, regenerate, you can come back and maybe finish it off. And all the Zerglings go down. Ouch.
Yeah, these Reapers are actually doing a good amount of damage. Now, from a Zerg point of view, there's always that question, do you chase Reapers with Zerglings and just give them free Zerglings? Or do you let the Reapers kind of get in closer and then you're forced to do exactly what you did here, where you turn the drone into a Spore Crawler? Each one, you kind of lose, you either lose resources building canceling a Spore Crawler, or of course you lose the Zerglings. But so far, Tasia's been able to get a good amount of damage done. He's even
Yeah.
bringing an SCV up. This is interesting.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's rally to the ramp. Something I also wanted to point out that the chat. Last night, of course, Goshi user casted Tasia in a lot of TVZs as well, so he might actually know how exactly he's playing and maybe mind game him based off that.
That's actually a really, really good point. You were talking about the caster advantage, and that's, you how about it can help you in kind of just, learning the game even more while you're explaining it. But also, if you're casting the guy who you're playing up next, that's a huge advantage. Just getting a very good insight into their gameplay. And now, so it is going to be a bunker below the ramp.
I've never seen this before.
I've seen it once or twice. But normally, if the Zerg just gets a bunch of speedings, they can take that out pretty easily. But he already has Hellions reinforcing it as well. So the times I've seen has been much earlier in the game, trying to contain the creep spread and keep the queens back. But this is about 30 seconds, 40 seconds later. So he's not really going to delay the creep spread to at least, I mean, there's already a couple tumors out, right?
Yeah.
But it is going to be annoying for Ghosty user. He's going to have to either get, maybe 4 roaches or pull some queens down there, and there's a Banshee behind us as well, so Tasia really, making the most of a small amount of units to be as annoying as possible.
Definitely. I really like this. If a bunch of Zerglings run out, the Reapers can jump into the bunker, the Hellions pull back, the Zerglings will probably go for the bunker themselves, and then they'll stack, and the Hellions will probably just fry them completely. So if it really works, I can imagine it'll decimate the army of the Zerg player. Now, as you said, the Banshees are in production. There was only one, I believe. Yeah, only one, and it is flying across the map right now, so it is going to catch up with the rest of the units very soon.
Now, unfortunately, it's not going to get there in time to save the bunker. That's going to have to be salvaged. Roaches and queens, we were able to push that back fairly easily. And I think the goal was that if the Banshee could reinforce that, maybe you could try to pick off a couple units when Ghost User tries to take down that bunker. But as is, it's going to be annoying to the roaches. And going to poke around and scalp. But with 3 queens there, it shouldn't do too much damage. Although maybe it might be to cancel the third base, actually, if it gets there really fast. No, I think the queens are too close at this point.
Yeah, well, it's gaining health now. It's also it's going to take longer to kill it the longer it goes on, and that Banshee is rallied to go into the natural. Of course, gosh, you should have seen that the 2 queens are close enough where they will be able to pick this up. Of course, queens have superior range over Banshees, so the Banshee has to run away, especially against 2 queens.
Yeah, does not want to trade its life. Of course, the queens can regenerate. The Banshee has to go back to repair. Meanwhile, we do have a 3rd command center going down for Tasia. It's not quite as fast as some other TVZs we've seen. Of course, he got 6 Hellions and a Banshee and the starport and everything before starting the command center. So he's not in the most amazing spot for the mid-game. If you think about timing to the 3rd isn't great. And his upgrades haven't even started yet, I don't think. Yeah, he hasn't even started his upgrades yet. But that being said, Ghost User did delay his 3rd as well a little bit. And Ghost User is actually upgrading into range attack. So he's definitely going for some, Roach Baneling or Roach Hydra type play.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. The Baneling just finishes up. I'm wondering if he's going for a bit of a timing here, because he has a lot of roaches already, 17. But he could be anticipating some sort of timing around it right now. So he could just be playing defensive for that reason. Baneling speed has started. Roach speed is nearly finished. And as you said, 1-1's very, very close to finishing up. And then there's a missile attack, which of course the roaches benefit from. Banshee coming here will be able to deal a lot of extra damage to these roaches.
This is an interesting map to go for that big timing on. You can see Tasia is definitely prepared, and Ghost User, actually, if you look at his vision, he was able to see 3 bunkers, and he saw the tank shoot him. So I don't think he's going to try to go into front. He may just try to go hardcore macro behind us, but he has a drop in his 3rd base. He's pulling drones fairly quickly. But with Stimpack done, actually he's going straight for the hatchery. I don't think that he's going to get that done. Now with the roaches scuttling back.
And he realizes this goes for the drones. Guaranteed damage is always a better victory. And a couple of Marines do get picked off there, but once again, that Banshee just about surviving, nearly 2 shots left. That Reapers are still alive, amazingly enough, and the Hellions do get a queen, which is always a nice little win. There is no queen right here, so the Banshee can go to town, but then again, it has low health, so he has to be super careful. And then Overlord by the Marine drop. Gonna get picked up in just a second.
They're having a peace treaty. The Overlord's just busy spreading creep. Oh, never mind. Peace was broken. Marines going in, shooting down that Overlord. So it's interesting situation, because Ghost User is a little bit fast with his upgrades, but he did spend some time getting the range upgrade, which is kind of weaker in the late game. So even though Tasia doesn't have the fastest upgrades, he might have a better late game just because of the unit comp that Ghost User is going for. That being said, there is Overlord drop. It is about to complete. And I'm really curious as how Ghost User is going to do that. Is he going to do like Baneling drops on army? Is he going to try to do some mass Doom drop in the main? There's a lot of options, and he hasn't even attacked anything beyond just a Roach Warren, the Baiting Nest, and some of those basic buildings. So we'll have to wait and see how he... Okay, he's crossing map with a lot of Overlords.
Yep, and he is now getting his melee attack over his +2 carapace, so that could come into effect. Of course, you know, the roaches will have +2, but then of course there is no +2 carapace, which is a big deal. There are a lot of Banelands, roaches, and circlings here, forcing the left off. Nice reactions from Tasia. Of course, he should be able. Oh, okay, he definitely knows now, as of course he sees the units load up into the overlords. He has 3 bases to defend. He has tanks in very good positions, bunkers everywhere, but no turrets, which will, you know, clean up a lot of the overlords. But the drop towards that 3rd base of the Zerg player is doing some serious good damage.
Yeah, those Marines are going to take out actually 2 Queens now. They're going to go to town in the hatchery. Ghost is going to try to invade this 3rd base, but with the siege tanks positioned on the high ground there, I'm not sure how effective it's going to be now. The Marines, of course, are staying away from the overlords, knowing there's Banings inside them. Meanwhile, the 3rd base is still alive from Ghost User. He's coming in here. He's trying to drop all over Taja's army. Taja continues to kite backwards.
And the units are dropping. The Banelings not getting the connections that they need. There's about 7 or 8 left. The roaches do clean up the rest of the tanks. Some units are streaming across the map to help this. The Marines in the medevac look like they're just being maybe grabbed by F2 or something. And GG does get called as that attack does not break the Terran opponent. So good hold there. That was getting actually very close. I think I wasn't paying too much attention. I think the 3rd base may have got picked off. So that
it was still alive at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
Queens and stuff got killed.
Yeah,
off.
he did take a lot of damage, and I mean, the big news also is he just lost his whole army, right? Against a Terran, you know, he pretty much fully committed to that attack. He lost all his overlords, all his units. He had no spire, no infestation pit, and of course Tasia was, you know, getting that mid-game Terran army rolling. So I'm really curious as to why Ghost User went for that attack when his first roach thing spotted the triple bunker. You know, like very early on, he poked up the ramp with some roaches and spotted the 3 bunkers in the siege tank. And I guess he was, you know, he's like, well, I've already started to make this many roaches, kind of have to commit for the attack. But Tasia just, I mean, he knew that attack was coming like 8 minutes before it even hit him. And he had just so much there to defend against it.
Yeah. Of course, now that means that Baby Knight is pretty much guaranteed to come out next. Yep, we just got the confirmation. I think they sent out Tasia so that they wouldn't immediately have to play maybe a PvP if Hero did win that, because like Liquid knew that Baby Knight was going to be the next player, because he's pretty much, you know, the last player left. Like they pretty much have like 4 high tier players that they always send out, and they always revive one. So they may be like, okay, like we'll send out Tasia because he should be gosh used, and then of course when they send out Baby Knight, it's not PvP, and Baby Knight has some really good PvP. So I would like Hero against Baby Knight would be a really interesting match.
It would be, and also, I mean, it's going to be in Star Station, which is probably a good map to go up against Protoss. So right now, we're at Liquid against Millenium. Liquid is currently, up 3-2. Of course, it's a best of 9, first of 5 wins. Liquid is currently ranked 6th in the rankings, and Millenium is currently ranked 4th. So it's a very important match for both teams, of course. You want to get higher in the rankings so you make those playoffs, and in the playoffs, that's where you can get all the fame and the money. So we're just waiting for Baby Knight to come in. We'll start with game number 6 in just a few minutes.
Definitely. All right, it is on European server, so I don't know if you swapped yet.
I think did I swap? No,
No,
we'll get it over set up in just a minute, and we'll be right back in just a minute or two.